Welcome to the Economist in Your Ear podcast. Is the world the most valuable listed toy company destined to become China's answer to Disney? Or is it just the biggest bubble currently inflating the blind box market?
That really is the core question, isn't it? It highlights this incredible tension facing Pop Mart right now. And the sheer speed of their rise, it just forces us to rethink global brands.
It really does. For you, the listener, maybe you haven't caught the wave yet, Pop Mart is this collectible toy brand. It's just exploded globally.
Yeah.
Mostly thanks to their little Labubu doll that went viral, completely viral back in 2024. I think as a K-pop star photographed with one.
That's right. And exploded is almost putting it mildly. That one photo, it was like pouring gasoline on a fire that was already burning pretty bright.
Oh, okay.
They just reported, what was it, a 245% sales jump just in the third quarter?
245%.
Yeah.
It's wild.
But the really staggering thing, the number you absolutely need to wrap your head around, is the valuation this whole frenzy has created.
Let's get to that because it is genuinely shocking. We're talking a market cap around $38 billion.
$38 billion. Now, just pause and think about what that actually means.
Yeah.
It means Pop Mart is valued at more than 3 times Japan's Sanrio, Hello Kitty's creators.
3 times Sanrio.
And nearly 7 times the value of Mattel in the U.S. Mattel, the makers of Barbie.
7 times Mattel. It's not just a successful toy company anymore, is it? That valuation implies something much, much bigger.
Exactly. Investors aren't just betting on toys. They're betting Pop Mart is already somehow on the path to becoming a global media giant.
Which, well, that leads us straight to their own stated goal, their mission.
Yeah.
They've said it themselves. They want to stop being just a toy company.
Mm-hmm.
They want to transform.
Right, into a full-blown multimedia entertainment group. They're explicitly chasing that Disney model.
The Holy Grail.
But, okay, that massive valuation, it didn't come from movies or theme parks yet. It came from that initial engine, the blind box.
For anyone listening who hasn't, dropped $15 hoping for that one rare figure, what's the magic there? What makes that model tick?
Well, it's psychology 101, really. It taps into something ancient that, love of the gamble, the lottery. It's the thrill you get from a random reward. But then they layer on manufactured scarcity. You buy a box, you don't know which toy you'll get.
Right, the surprise element.
But the real hook, the thing that drives the obsession, is the limited supply, and especially those secret variants, the super rare ones.
The chase figures.
Exactly. That fuels this frantic collector culture. It generates massive buzz on social media. And, well, until recently, it supported a really hot resale market. It's like collecting meets stock market speculation.
And what's fascinating is that this isn't just a China story. That's maybe the biggest surprise here. It kind of breaks the mold for Chinese consumer brands going global.
It really does challenge those old assumptions. They have stores now in almost 40 countries. And their overseas sales, already about 2/5, 40% of their total revenue. That's not trivial.
40% is huge. It proves the aesthetic, the IP itself, have that global appeal.
Which is absolutely fundamental if you're even thinking about attempting a Disney-style ecosystem. You need characters people connect with everywhere.
And they seem to know they can't just rely on Labubu forever. They're diversifying pretty aggressively.
Oh, definitely. They're betting heavily on that resonance, pushing out new stuff constantly. I think Labubus were only about 1/5 of the, 29 new lines they launched by mid-2025.
Right, they're branching out. Things like Skull Panda, that darker, sort of moodier aesthetic.
Exactly, exploring different niches, trying to capture different tastes. Smart move.
Diversification is definitely smart.
Yeah.
But here's the worry, right? If your whole initial empire was built on making things hard to get, what happens when they become easy to get?
Yeah.
We're seeing some warning signs now, especially in that secondary market.
Absolutely. That's the first real crack appearing, the first sign investors are getting nervous. The resale market, that speculative bubble, it's cooling fast.
Do we have specifics on that? Like how much cooling?
We do. There's a good example, the limited edition Chestnut Cocoa Labubu doll.
Okay.
At its peak, resellers were getting around 1,500 yuan for it. That's, about $210?
Wow, okay. For one doll?
Yeah. It's down to roughly 780 yuan. It's lost more than half its premium resale value.
Ouch. That's a serious drop. That sounds like people are just losing interest.
Well, here's the counterintuitive part. Sources suggest it's not really about waning enthusiasm. It's actually about surging supply.
Ah, okay. So too much product flooding the market.
Pretty much. Pop Mart had a genuine problem early on with shortages. They literally couldn't make the things fast enough.
Right, I remember hearing about that. And the fakes, the lafufas.
Exactly. These shortages fueled that crazy scarcity and, yeah, opened the door for counterfeiters. So Pop Mart made a huge strategic call.
Which what?
To fix the shortage problem by just radically scaling up production. HSBC estimates their manufacturing capacity is set to increase tenfold by the end of 2025.
10?
Yeah.
Tenfold. That's an incredible gamble on volume.
It's massive.
Doesn't that completely undermine the whole collectible appeal? If everyone can suddenly get the Labubu they want easily, where's the chase? Where's the hype? Isn't that like killing the golden goose?
It fundamentally changes the game. It erodes that core psychological hook. The whole point of the blind box was you might not get the one you wanted.
Yeah.
That drove repeat buys, trading, the whole frenzy.
So they solved a short-term problem,
Those hemorrhages, yeah.
but maybe created a much bigger long-term one. The potential collapse of the scarcity premium that built their entire brand.
That's the existential risk they're facing now. They're effectively shifting from being a sort of low-volume, high-margin collectible dealer to potentially becoming a high-volume, maybe lower-margin mass retailer. Very different business.
Okay, so if that original blind box engine is sputtering, maybe because they're flooding it themselves, what's plan B?
Plan B is the big pivot.
The China's Disney ambition. Using the characters they made famous through the boxes to sell experiences, stories.
Exactly. Building out that whole ecosystem. It's about leveraging the IP. We're seeing concrete steps already. They opened PIP Land in Beijing in 2023.
Right, the theme park. Not huge, right? About 40,000 square meters.
Yeah, it's not Disneyland scale. It's described as more immersion-centric. Think character interactions, photo ops, atmosphere, rather than, massive roller coasters.
Interesting. And they're moving into media, too.
Fast. They set up an in-house film studio just this past June. An animated Labubu series is apparently in the works.
So they are genuinely trying to follow that Disney playbook, use content to build love for the characters that drives merchandise sales, which then funds more content at the virtuous cycle.
That's the dream. But, and this is a big but, we really need to interrogate that China's Disney comparison. It gets thrown around a lot.
Because the scale is just so different.
Completely different universes right now. Disney is, a century old? Built on massive foundational media empires, films, TV networks, streaming. Pop Mart, for all its success, is still primarily a niche retailer that got incredibly hot.
Is there a number that really shows that gap?
Oh, yeah. Look at licensing revenue. How much money they make just letting other companies use their characters.
Okay, how does Pop Mart stack up there?
Currently, licensing is less than 10% of their total revenue.
Less than 10%.
Now, look, for a young company, maybe 10% isn't bad. But if you're claiming the Disney model, where licensing is absolutely central, think characters on everything from lunchboxes to pajamas to theme park rides.
Right, Disney licenses everything.
Then that 10% figure shows you just how dependent Pop Mart still is on selling those physical boxes. The very model that might be under threat.
And this shift isn't just strategic. It's a huge financial risk change, isn't it?
Absolutely massive. They're moving away from selling, relatively cheap to produce, high margin little plastic things in shops.
Yeah, low overheads, relatively speaking.
Towards stuff with way higher capital expenditure. Building theme parks, launching film studios, that takes enormous upfront investment. And the path to profitability is much longer, much riskier than selling a $15 blind box.
So they're trading the relative stability of retail for the high-stakes gamble of the experiential economy.
That's a great way to put it. And that financial risk, that pivot risk, it's amplified by the environment they're operating in back home.
You mean the regulatory landscape in China?
Exactly. When a company gets this big, this fast, especially in consumer goods in China, it attracts attention, a lot of attention.
And the government there is particularly focused on cultural exports, right? Using brands as a form of soft power.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Which creates this really interesting tension for Pop Mart. How does a brand like Labubu, which got huge partly because its aesthetic feels kind of universal, maybe even culturally ambiguous?
Yeah, it doesn't scream China necessarily.
How does that align with a national policy push for products that clearly reflect Chinese cultural identity?
Have they actually faced pressure on that?
Well, reports suggest that, yes, relevant public communication agencies have engaged with Pop Mart management. Discussions about how their products can or should reflect that identity.
Wow.
So the government isn't just thinking about, toy safety standards or preventing market speculation anymore. They potentially see Pop Mart as a vehicle for projecting a certain image globally.
That is a very difficult tightrope to walk, especially when, apparently, the company itself knows that products with really overt national symbols don't sell as well overseas.
That's the conflict right there. Labubu's designer is from Hong Kong. The appeal is broad. The company internally seems to understand that global success often requires a kind of cultural neutrality or flexibility.
So they're juggling global taste, domestic policy, and the potential for tighter rules.
Exactly. That regulatory layer is huge. It's not just about cultural messaging. It could mean stricter rules on safety, on consumer protection, maybe even cracking down on that resale speculation, which regulators tend to dislike, all while they're trying to pull off this incredibly expensive business model transformation.
Okay, so bringing it all together, what's the big picture view of Pop Mart right now?
I mean, you have to admire them. Pop Mart is genuinely a powerhouse example of a Chinese consumer brand that broke the mold, defied global stereotypes. Huge success story so far.
But the next chapter looks incredibly challenging.
Monumentally challenging. They have to manage, 3 massive risks all at once? First, keep the excitement alive even as they potentially kill the scarcity that created it. Second, successfully execute this incredibly difficult capital-intensive shift into media and experiences. And third, navigate this increasingly complex web of domestic regulation and cultural expectations.
It really boils down to a fundamental test, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The thought we should probably leave you, the listener, with is this. Pop Mart built its initial fortune by making people crave things they couldn't easily get, that rare toy in the blind box. Their entire future now seems to depend on whether they can build lasting success by selling things people can easily access, like a trip to a theme park or watching an animated show. Can they shift from selling scarcity to selling experience?
The answer to that question, that'll determine if they truly become China's answer to Disney, or if they end up as maybe the most spectacular example ever of a blind box bubble bursting.
Thanks for listening. Follow us for daily insights into world affairs, and don't forget to like, comment, and share.